This is the Ferrari 296 GTB, a simple, traditional, very Ferrari name for what is a thoroughly modern and advanced kind of supercar. First things first, its staggering power figure, an incredible 830 horsepower. The 296 GTB combines a ferocious, all-new 3-litre twin-turbo V6 that makes a huge 663 horsepower on its own, with an electric motor making up the rest. It's a plug-in hybrid with an EV-only range of around 15 miles, but unlike the SF90, it's rear-wheel drive only. Weight is quoted as 1,470 kilograms, but remember, that's a dry figure and with all the lightweight options. Looks, sure, they're subjective, but for what it's worth, I happen to think it's gorgeous when you see it in the metal. That body's aluminium once again, but Ferrari has shortened the wheelbase by 50mm compared to the old V8s in pursuit of a more agile chassis. Ferrari says that most of all, the 296 is all about being fun to drive. We've come to southern Spain to have our first drive of the car and find out.
So let's get straight into it. How fast? Well, I gotta be honest with you, it is shockingly fast. I mean, it's the sort of rearrange your internal organs fast. It's fierce. I mean, it's really, really, really fierce. But part of what makes it so fast is the hybrid system fills in the gaps, so it doesn't really feel like it has any turbo lag. It has an amazing throttle response, and it also has this low and mid-range urge, which is totally addictive. We're on some really twisty mountain roads now, and this thing is so much fun. It's a very delicate car. It's slightly surprising because remember, it's not light. It's got that classic Ferrari light, very quick steering rack, so you can't put too much of an input in. You'll just make the car nervous and actually sort of antagonize the car, if you like. But once you're on its wavelength, once you're speaking 296 language, then you really can get a great feeling for what it's doing. It just flows down the road, it rides so well, and you're just making these little adjustments. But the beautiful thing about what Ferrari have managed is that it doesn't feel nervous. So it's really agile, but there's never a point where you're going, oh God, that's a bit, that's a bit, I'm not sure about that. Not at all. And part of not feeling nervous is that pretty quickly you realise that you can take some liberties with it. You can work up to the limit. And yeah, it's an 830 horsepower Ferrari, but as ludicrous as this sounds, and I'm saying these words and thinking this sounds crazy, but it's not actually that scary, because you soon realise it's got such a fabulous balance. Now, maybe that's because the masses are contained so low. Remember that little V6 on the floor? I'm sure that makes a difference as well, but it really feels like when you turn, it feels like the car pivots beneath you, and you know exactly what it's doing. Look, here's a corner. Every time I turn, it's like the car just does that, slightly sits down on that rear haunch, and it's ready to go. What do you want to do, it says. What do you want to do? Do you want to push a bit harder? More throttle, a little bit more throttle, build up to the limit, start to understeer ever so slightly. If it's a really tight corner, you might start to feel that, and it'll let you know. Or if you're more aggressive with the throttle, so at that stage where it's kind of saying, yeah, okay, I'll start to step out at the rear. I mean, that's astonishing to be kind of that clear and friendly with this level of performance. Something else that Ferrari have got really right is the brake pedal, because the pedal's nice and firm, but you can really get a good feeling, an ease of modulation. That means you can judge your braking. I've not thought about it once, and I always think that's the acid test, right? If it doesn't even come into your mind, then clearly it's been set right. I think this car sounds really good. Of course, it does rev high, limits at 8,500 RPM, which for a turbo engine is really good going. So you've got that real range. It never sounds coarse, it never sounds gritty, it never sounds harsh. It's got a lovely growl low down, pretty sonorous at higher revs as well. But for me, the best bit is the turbo noises. So if I let it build up some boost pressure, here we go, a bit of a gradient. Let's try it, 4th gear.
Well, I think that's more than enough of my ludicrous turbo impressions, and it's time now to head to the Monte Blanco circuit. For this, Ferrari provides cars equipped with the Fiorano pack, which saves up to 15 kilos and features even more trick Multimatic dampers amongst some other stuff. Plus, they were also fitted with the optional Michelin Cup 2 R tyres, unlike the 4S Michelins of our road car. Just a handful of laps is enough to confirm that A, the 296 has the ability to shrink alarmingly just about any straight, and B, that it's a proper live wire, and the more you peel back the electronic systems, the more it's keen to rotate into a corner, to oversteer, or do pretty much anything else you might want it to do, if you so command it. It requires a smooth, precise driving style.
Let's get some lights on the steering wheel flashing. That's over 270 up to 280. Boy, keeping that distance. Apparently they've already lost a lot of windscreens. We don't want to add to the bill. Whoa, look, it just wants to turn. So slightly overcooked it round that one. Keep my eye on the line. Stop for that one. What did I say? Go a gear higher this lap? Yep. Whoa. There's that torque. It's just there, isn't it? Little devil on your shoulder. Oh, look at the way you can turn it in on the brakes as well. Fantastic rotation there. Great stability under braking, no problems there. Get it turned in, nice. And he's flashing his hazards, so I think that is game over. That was with CT off, so a chance of those laps to feel how these new systems are really working. If you go to ESC off, it's just you and the ABS, but Ferrari have put an awful lot of work into these new systems, and you can really feel how they give you so much leeway with the car to do things, to get it moving around without giving you that nannying restraint that systems used to do. Ooh, aircon appears to be off. It's pretty warm in here now, but that's really impressive.
What then to make of the 296 GTB overall? Comfortable, reasonably practical, and silent running one moment, then an absolute animal of a machine the next, of almost overwhelming power, which regardless of its weight feels amazingly nimble, playful, and surprisingly exploitable too. Based on this first acquaintance, Ferrari has created something very special indeed.